Welcome back to CBS Sports HQ. The clock is ticking for tip-off of the NBA Conference Finals later tonight. It was a dogfight for the Thunder to punch their ticket. It took them 7 games to take down the Joker and the Nuggets, but now they turned their attention to a rested Timberwolves squad, making its 2nd consecutive appearance in the Western Conference Finals. That one tipping off at 8:30, and then we also will see the Knicks and the Pacers get underway tomorrow night. More on that in a minute, but you know, if we're talking Knicks, we got Ashley Nicole Moss in studio. We've also got our NBA champion in Rip Hamilton joining. Hopefully you guys can level each other out.
We're on the same side.
Oh, we are. Okay.
Yeah. I got the beef with.
Oh, we don't have time to get into the beef. But, guys, let's talk about Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Tipping off tonight, it is Minnesota and OKC. The big conversation here, and we'll get more to that in a minute, I want to hear from Rip's player perspective, but the rest that the Timberwolves get coming into this one. Even looking at that, Ashley, the Timberwolves enter as the road dog in this one. What makes you confident about the Thunder coming off that 7-game set against the Nuggets?
I mean, that was their biggest test, right? You talk about what happened against the Memphis Grizzlies, and this is no knock to Memphis. I think they're a much better team, and I've been saying this, than the team that we saw in that series. It's just a lot of circumstances did not go their way. But when you talk about OKC, the fact that they had to go 7 games against the championship Denver Nuggets, the best player in the world, Nicole, and they came out of that victorious, and not only victorious, but they absolutely annihilated the Nuggets in Game 7. It just, you want them to continue to build on that momentum, and I think they absolutely will build on that momentum. And sometimes when you are a team that has, I don't want to say the word coasting, but when you, for lack of a better word, have been coasting most of the season, you've just been head and shoulders above your competition, and then you go into the first round of the playoffs and your opponent really isn't giving much of a fight. Sometimes, especially when you're a young team, the biggest test can be the greatest asset when you're trying to win the whole thing, because it teaches you how to play from behind, it teaches you how to fight against circumstances that are not going your way, and it teaches you how to, at halftime especially, rally the troops and say, we got this, let's go out, new game in the second half. And that's exactly what the Thunder did. They have an extremely elite young core. I think that the depth and the chemistry is there, especially for such a young team. It is so impressive, and it's so admirable. And I also think that because they're young, their matchup flexibility against the Minnesota Timberwolves is there, and they're also very well coached. So there's just a bunch of things that I'm really impressed with when this comes to this Thunder team. But again, the way they were able to handle the Denver Nuggets, I think is going to suit them so well going into the next round.
Rip, to just kind of follow up on that before we talk about the Timberwolves here, this is a Thunder team who, to your point, Ashley, they proved their worth, right? They took down the Nuggets, they took down Joker, but it took them 7 games to do so. Take us inside the player mentality of this, where you're tired, you just had to play 7, and now you're taking on a team that's coming off a 6 days rest.
Yeah, it depends on what type of team you are, and what Ashley was saying was absolutely right. This is a young team, and when you're a young team and you got young legs, you can play a 48-minute game one night, then come back and play back-to-back nights. I remember that when I was a spring chicken out there. But if you're an older veteran team, which I was in Detroit when I hit probably 30, 31 years old, yes, every game counts. You want to try to get through every playoff matchup as soon as possible, because you know that the further you go in the playoffs, the harder the games get. But when you look at this OKC team, they're a young team. They're a team that has a lot of depth, like Ashley alluded to. So they can go 9 or 10 deep. So when one guy's down, another guy's up. So I just think that their style of play, their youth on their team, they're a team that want to get in defense. They do it by committee. They want to get in passing lanes. They want to play fast. They want to get in transition. This right here always help a young team. So I just believe that, yes, it depends on what type of team you are, but OKC is a young team that's ready. They're active. You can go back to the regular season. They won 68 games. Usually teams that's trying to win a championship, once you win 59, 60 games, you tend to rest your starters. You rest your star players. They didn't have to do that, because they understood that this is a young team, they're active, and they want it more than anybody else.
To be young again.
I know, I was going to say that's been a theme over the NBA playoffs, is that if you're young, suck it up, because it only gets harder as the time goes on.
I woke up this morning and had a crink in my neck from sleeping the wrong way. So, like,
that's where we're at. Obviously, though, on the other side of this matchup, guys, I was trying to think in my head as Rip was talking, like, are the Timberwolves young? Are they old? I feel like they're a good mix of both in this new look era out in Minnesota. However, Rip, we do know that this was the team that played in the Western Conference Finals a year ago. Now they lost to my Mavericks, and so things look a lot different as the year has gone on. What has changed for the Timberwolves, Rip, that has you confident that maybe they could get this series done here against the Thunder?
Well, I think the biggest things that change, especially watching them from the beginning of the season and now in the playoffs, is Julius Randle. Julius Randle has been playing like an all-star caliber player. This is the player that they was hoping to get from the New York Knicks, which early in the season, they were still trying to find their rhythm out there. Ant-Man trying to figure out how to play off him, and he's trying to play off Ant-Man. Now it seems like he has his rhythm. The change was allowing him to play the point forward position, where I thought that he was really great in New Orleans with. He was great in New York when able to handle the ball, and now he's showcasing that in Minnesota. So when he's able to be a playmaker, a guy that can bring the ball up and make plays for other guys, play Ant-Man off the ball a little bit more. Don't play him up top as much as you do, especially early in the season. I think that changed the dynamic of this ball club. I think that for them, they can't turn the ball over. I think that when they turn the ball over, they really expose their weaknesses. Ant-Man in the 2 previous games that they played against OKC early in the season, he had almost 4 turnovers a game. And when he did that, they lost them 2 games. So if they can stay committed to their offense, Michael Conley can run this team like the veteran that he is, good things can happen for this Minnesota Timberwolves team. But I still think OKC just has too much.
It all starts tonight, 8:30 Eastern from OKC's Paycom Center, so we'll keep our eye on that one as the West gets underway. Over in the East, though, Ashley, we all know what you've got your eyes on. We changed it up for Ashley. It is the Knicks and the Pacers facing off. This, in general, is just kind of a surprising series. I think a lot of folks thought that this was going to be 1 versus 1 in Cleveland and Boston. Both of them got eliminated in that second round. Ashley, when you look at what the Knicks have done to this point, I know that there's a lot to be excited about, but what do you think has been the reason why they were able to snap this streak? First time in 25 years that they're playing in the conference finals.
I think, look, and Rip could speak to this, obviously, as a former player. I think sometimes being the underdog and being counted out is the best medicine when it comes to kind of just blocking out the noise of what everyone thinks you will be and what you should be. And what I mean by that is everyone is constantly talking about how the Knicks aren't this and the Knicks aren't that. They're not tough. Tibbs plays his guys too many minutes. Jalen Brunson can't be a leader. Karl-Anthony Towns is not tough enough. Mikal Bridges, they shouldn't have traded that, gave up that many picks for. The list goes on and on. And I think that the Knicks hear it, but they've never allowed it to kind of infiltrate their locker room and let the main thing be the main thing. And that is play a New York style of basketball that is gritty, that is no quit, and not always perfect and sometimes extremely frustrating. But the Knicks have done so well with just allowing the ebbs and flows of a season to be just that. Sometimes you're high, sometimes you're low, and not allowing every win to make or break them or every loss to make or break them. And you talk about going against the Pacers. Obviously, this is a historic matchup. My dad told me stories about the Reggie Miller choking. You know, we've seen the whole choking motion and just going back to 94 and 99 and just the regular season games between these teams. I mean, look at the last time these two saw each other. Look at the lineup. Shout out to my guy Jalen Rose at the 3 there. I mean, Allen Houston, who, by the way, if everyone's interested, that was my first NBA crush of all time, was Allen Houston.
Okay, good to know.
But I'm just really excited for not only the city of New York, but just for a Knicks team that everyone found something wrong with how the Knicks were building and how they were not winning fast enough for a lot of people. And they said, we're going to stay the course. We know what we're building. And finally, it's coming to fruition for them.
Yeah, I like seeing the rosters next to one another. It just takes you back to the moment and how iconic that series was. Those couple of series were back in the day. However, Rip, if we look at 2025, this Pacers team, you talk about an underdog story. They have truly been an underdog story as this playoffs have gone on. And in fact, they are the first team to make back-to-back conference finals trips without a top 3 seed since the playoffs were extended back in 1984. So they're really doing something unprecedented here, and they've got the most quote-unquote overrated player, I should say, in Tyrese Halliburton, leading the charge here. So Rip, play devil's advocate for Pacers fans out there. Why should Knicks fans be nervous about this series tipping off tomorrow?
Because of their pace. They play fast. They want to get up and down the floor. When you look at the New York Knicks, they want to grind the game out. They want to probably play in a more of a half-court game, especially against this Indiana Pacers team. They're playing their best basketball right now. In my opinion, they're probably playing the best basketball in the Eastern Conference right now, the Indiana Pacers. And Tyrese Halliburton has a lot to do with that. He's tired of all the disrespect, and mostly from his peers when people are calling him the most overrated player in the league. And he's come out and he's showcased that night in and night out, not just from a scoring standpoint, but from a leadership standpoint. The thing that I want to look at more than anything is I want to see him show up on the defensive end. And if he can show up on the defensive end and really take the challenge of saying, all right, you know what, tonight I got Jalen Brunson. I think that I am the best point guard in the league because, again, a lot of people are talking about Tyrese Halliburton being one of the premier best guards under 30 in the National Basketball Association. If he can come out and play that style of basketball, another guy to point out, Miles Turner, can he own that matchup against Karl Anthony Towns? Karl Anthony Towns has been killing him, especially in the regular season, averaging 30 and 12. Can he dominate that matchup for them? So I just believe that if both of them guys can come out and really take pride on both ends of the floor and dominate that matchup and the Pacers can play fast, Rick Carlisle's going to do his job. He's one of the smartest coaches in the game of basketball. He understands how to manipulate offenses. He knows how to manipulate defense. So I just think that it gives the Pacers a good chance.
Let the record show, though, Haley, Rip did pick the Knicks.
Okay.
Just want to put that.
I did.
Okay.
But she told me to say why the Pacers fans should be.
He is on my side.
All I know is no lead is safe in this series. Particularly, we saw both of these teams erase 20-point deficits multiple times in the last round. So, Rip, I'm a little disappointed that Ashley pulled you over to the bandwagon there, but now you got to stand on business as the conference finals get underway. Plenty more from Ashley Nicole Moss on her new show, Triple Threat. New episode drops tomorrow. Ash, what can we expect?
Apparently, D. Wade is throwing some shade at Jimmy Butler.
Oh.
Yes, I know.
Tune in to hear that. 1 o'clock Eastern tomorrow on CBS Sports Network. You can also catch it on YouTube. All right, so we've heard the storylines. We've heard Rip change his allegiance over to the New York Knicks. Now let's make you some money. Mackenzie Brooks going to join us on the other side to help you make some winning plays and put some money in your pocket after this. The last time OKC made it to the NBA Finals was 2012. That was also the last year that the Kentucky Wildcats won an NCAA national championship. Stick with me here, guys, because all 4 remaining rosters in the playoff field have at least one player from Kentucky, and that gentleman, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The most notable is he is currently the MVP favorite, just one of 2 Kentucky players suiting up for the Thunder. They are also the current betting favorite heading into the conference finals. And just to sprinkle in a little bonus fact for all of you at home, the only current player on that 2012 Kentucky roster still playing is Anthony Davis, who plays for my Dallas Mavericks. For more on the numbers here, I got a boo from our producer on that play, but I'm always going to plug my team, including my sportsline betting analyst, Mackenzie Brooks, who always does so well with these picks. Mackenzie, we are targeting that Western Conference opener today. OKC and the Timberwolves. The Thunder come into this one as 7.5-point favorites. The over-under is set at 2015. And you got a little twofer here for us, so set the stage for us. What are you looking at when it comes to the betting?
Yeah, I mean, overall, I like OKC in the series. I like OKC in this game. And this is coming from someone who has been high on Minnesota. You know, it's documented throughout our shows here, throughout the playoffs. So it's just about, you can't young, athletic out OKC, right? Ant-Man and those guys have been able to be the younger, more athletic team, which has helped them. But once it gets to OKC, you just can't compete with the depth that they have here. And the turnover margin was not really a problem for the Timberwolves when they played Golden State, because Golden State couldn't defend the 3, quite frankly. But now you're playing a Thunder team where they will expose you for the sloppy basketball here. So turnover margin has a lot to do with this for me. I like them to cover here minus the 7.5. And I like Chet Holmgren specifically to go over 14.5 points. Now, it's not a number he's been clearing often, but a lot has to do with minutes or blowouts or fourth quarter situations. I have to believe in game 1, we're going to get 30+ minutes from him. And when we do, he's 12-1 to this over. So game 1, you know, don't take any risks here, and I think he gets plenty of minutes to get this done.
I will mention that Chet Holmgren did not play in either of the regular season matchups against the Timberwolves, as he was out, I believe, with injury there. So we'll see that one get underway at 8:30 Eastern. Mackenzie, on the other side of the bracket, we've got the East. We've got Pacers, Knicks. Ashley and Rip set the stage for us, so give us your winning play.
Yeah, I'm leaning the Pacers way. I'm honestly leaning the Pacers way in the series when it comes down to the value you're getting. But if you want to look at a play for tonight specifically, Siakam over 27.5 for his PRA. He comes into this number 8-5, and he's 6-2 to this against the Knicks specifically. So finds a lot of success against them. It just feels like a guy who, despite I think being an awesome player and a bit undervalued here, he's never double covered. Even though he is a great scorer. And if it's Cat, is trying to go up against him, Cat will get himself in foul trouble as well. So I just think he'll have a lot of opportunity tonight. I'm not too intimidated by the interior paint of the Knicks in general. So I think this is a good spot for the Pacers and definitely a good spot for Siakam.
All right, Ashley Nicole Moss, cover your ears for that play. I'm sure that's not what she wants to hear, but that is what the numbers are telling us. Mackenzie Brooks joining us here on HQ to break it all down with the playoffs continuing tonight at 8:30. More winning plays from Mackenzie Brooks and our Sportsline crew on the Early Edge. You can scan that QR code on your screen or listen wherever you get your podcasts.